So this is Louis, and what I'm going to do here is vent to you a little bit. And the reason for doing so is that I got a nasty call from my manager, the angriest I'd ever heard him. And it's one of those calls where, and I've experienced this before, where your manager is attempting to hold your job over your head and is trying to get you to admit fault, get down on all fours, say, please, sir, I have kids, I have a family, I have a house, I have a mortgage. Like, I am unsure exactly what this whole deal is about, but it's intercorporate drama, and I'll tell you where this originated from. A senior manager at the company was covering for a mistake that another manager did. Like, this is a big story. So this person in scheduling wanted more money. They were getting paid even less than I was and doing a lot of work. This person wanted more money. They said no. So the person said, okay, and quit during the busiest time of the year. So when that person quit, all of their work fell on their manager, which is a senior manager at the company. And this person is completely incompetent. This person is a Yan Shu of the corporate world, for those of you that have played Three Kingdoms. The only legitimacy that they have is that they espouse themselves. The only reason they are a manager, and I know this for a fact, is because they are in the right place at the right time when a vacancy needed to be filled. And I know from two separate sources that have worked with this guy that he is fucking incompetent. So a fucking incompetent manager loses an employee, and now they need to train a new employee. This new employee comes in, but is now off on a sick day, like 2 weeks after getting hired, unbelievably. They're out. So the fucking incompetent manager has to cover for their new employee. And like I say, they don't know what they're doing. And this isn't me ranting about how, oh, all the management is incompetent. No, I understand that at my company, there are managers working for our company that absolutely know what they're doing. But many of them are, in my experience, fairly unprofessional. That's been my experience at my company. Many managers are just unprofessional. They have no consideration for others at all. And unfortunately, as I'm going to title this video, I am just not cut out for the corporate world. And it is because I understand that when you are middle management and up, you are careerists. And you will always throw other people under the bus for your mistakes. You will always use your position to target others beneath you for the sake of your record and your position in the company not being tarnished. Because you want to keep yourself spotless to continue on your path to upper management, or in the case that you get headhunted by another company and you flip to another company for more money. If you want to be able to do that in either or, flip to another company or reach upper management, you need to keep your record spotless. And so what that requires is for you to, as an incompetent manager, continue to assert your competence and blame others for your mistakes. And that is, in fact, what happened here. It was a scheduling mistake. The mistake that occurred was twofold. The first was a case that was scheduled 2 hours after the case that I was currently working. So as I was working a case, meaning I'm out on the job working a case, running around doing the job, this guy puts a second case for 2 hours after that case ends on my schedule. No one notified me of this. He didn't notify me. The case manager for that particular client, they didn't notify me. No one notified me for a sudden change as I'm busy working. And I had also spoken to the case manager while on that case, and they said absolutely nothing about any changes. We just talked about the case that I was currently working, and I have a good relationship with this manager, this case manager. They never said anything to me. We just talked about the case that I was currently working. And things looked like they were wrapping up, and they say, just break off for the day, you're done. So that's what I did. I broke off for the day, and I was done. But unbeknownst to me, there was another case that had been placed on my schedule. I just was unaware of it. Mysteriously, that case disappeared, and no one's quite sure what happened. It's real mysterious. That sudden change happened, and I had to basically say I can't work this case in an email I wrote later on. No one knows what happened to that case, and for some reason no one has any complaints about it. because it's the most unprofessional thing that's happened to me in this company, ever. In the last 4 years that I've been working for this company, it's the most unprofessional thing that's ever happened to me. Mysteriously, that case disappeared and no one wants to talk about it anymore. But this other case, people got complaints about. So this incompetent manager does the thing that's happened to me numerous times, where he waits until the last second to schedule a case for the next day in the early morning. So I discovered this case at either 11:30 or 12 at night. It was right around maybe 11:30, 11:45, but I didn't write the email until like right after midnight. And what I had been doing earlier was playing with a friend online. So I'm unaware of within the 4 hours that they had actually scheduled it, because I don't believe that they'd actually put it on my schedule up until that evening. The claim is that they did it at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I believe that to be an absolute fucking lie. Because I would have seen it, because I checked in the afternoon when I worked my first case. I had checked my schedule, and there was nothing there. I was scheduled for the evening for the next day, so I stayed up for that reason. I wouldn't have stayed up if I was in any way aware of working a case in the morning. And the reason is, I have developed over time a fucking sleep disorder. Because of this job, the job that I have been working 50, 60, 70-hour weeks every fucking week for the past 3 years, because of my job, I have a sleeping disorder. The fact is that it's just a matter of, it's just something I deal with. I deal with the fact that I have now developed a fucking health issue because of this job. You've not heard me complain about this, other than maybe just recently. I think I mentioned it in passing in a stream. But in any case, getting back to what happened, so they scheduled the case for the morning. It's nearly midnight, 11:45 at night, and my choice is, do I go to bed, get up, work this case at 5 in the morning? I believe it was. It may have been like an hour away. In that case, I got to get up at 4. Do I get up at like 4 or 5 in the morning, go work this case, which was scheduled a few hours ago, and I was never notified of it? Or do I say, fuck it, go to bed, and deal with the fallout? Because this was a mistake. This was an error on the part of this manager. If you're going to make a very sudden change, you need to notify the investigator. You need to notify the person that you're making the change about. Because I'm sorry, I can't be glued to my PC every waking moment of my fucking life. I know that I selfishly spent some time with a friend of mine, but every once in a while, I have to actually do something with a friend of mine. I can't just be married to my fucking job. I could have said this to my manager, but I just basically laid out the fact that I know I'm not at fault and that I'm not apologizing. And that may have been in part one of the reasons why he was so angry. But it's like, you desperately want to have this over me, but I know that a manager was at fault. So here's the lie I caught my manager in. He says that I'm being mean to the new scheduler. We just got this new scheduler in. You're being mean to her. You're laying blame on her. But the thing is, I know based on her sending me an email and another manager sending me an email, so from 2 sources, including from the horse's mouth, this scheduler was out sick. So the person who scheduled those cases was the senior manager. He's the one who did it. And that's what I had as evidence on my end. And so when my manager accuses me of taking advantage of a new scheduler, I throw right in his face that, hey, she wasn't there. Don't blame her. I'm not blaming this new scheduler. She wasn't there. It was the senior manager who did it. And I named him to my manager. I said right to him whose fault it is that this happened. And I said that this quickly could have been solved. All that would have been required was for this person to take those cases that had been missed, not lie about the one completely and say it just was a mystery. Don't lie about it. Take it, put it on my schedule for the day after, because there was time for that. Or put it on for the next day, or the day after that. You put it on my schedule for a day later, it gets fucking worked, there's no problems. But he didn't do that. He just kicked it out for weeks for no reason. Because, like I say, he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He's incompetent. And so my manager claims that the case manager for that company was very upset. I don't believe him, but that's what he said. And so for that reason, I got written up. And this time, it was different. This time, he was real angry. He yelled at me. And he said, you know, if you screw up again, if this kind of thing happens again, he was making up shit like, oh, you've been written up so many times. And it's like, yeah, I've been, over 3 years, I've been written up maybe 4 times for a few different small errors. It's never been a behavioral issue. I've never left a case or done anything inappropriate. It's just been for errors. But, okay, you take that however you want to. I'm not perfect. No one is. Some of the most senior investigators at the company have been written up, and I know about it, and it's been for similar reasons, for errors on their end. You know, so this isn't that big of a deal, but you can feel free to yell at me. It doesn't really matter to me, because what you're doing is you're holding a job over my head that I don't really care about. I'm working a job that is a $30,000 a year job in which I make $40,000 a year because I work for, over 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week. Because I'm working so many, and I've acclimatized to that perfectly outside of my sleep schedule. I'm used to working the amount of hours, it's just my sleep. It's been a problem for years. And I don't make a big deal about it. It just came with the job. And I'm fine with the money. I should be paid more for the amount of work that I do, but hey, I know that I'm not in any position to, ask for it because like that scheduler who asked for her raise, they'll just say no and she'll quit. And that's pretty much what happened to me too. They'll just tell me to eat shit and that would have been the end of it. The problem they have is that they have so much turnover and have such an inability to hire people that it's like they create crises for themselves based on their own stubbornness and the freaking incompetence of the managerial team. And like I say, it's not my manager. He's not at fault. I don't believe it was the case manager either. I believe it was the freaking senior manager that's in charge of scheduling at my company. It might be him and this other woman, or it might be just him. But he's the one that made the mistake. He's the one that screwed up. Rather than rebound and reschedule the case, he just basically left it off. And then a couple days later, I'm getting a call about it complaining about something I did when I say, like, no, let's just lay this out. Because I'm not accepting fault for something that is specifically not my problem and not my fault. If you want these cases worked, I got to know about them. You got to warn me. You got to tell me. You got to say something. If they're rush cases, which is, and I'm going to get myself in trouble here. It's what they call them when they need to be done. There's specific colors. You're notified instantly. There's a protocol for it. They didn't follow the fucking protocol. They didn't do what is necessary according to the internal policy of the company. It's not my issue. They're the ones that fucked up. If I have to work a case the next day and it's a big emergency, you notify me. It's automatic. It's on my schedule. I get an email. It's all instantaneous. But when you don't mark it as that, you don't call me, you don't email me, I don't know, I'm ready to go to bed and suddenly it's on my fucking schedule, that is on you. It's not on me. I'm not married to the shit job that you paid me $30K a year for, but I get $40K in fucking overtime. All right? This is your problem. Because you can't say, we're going to lose a contract, Louis. Louis, this is a big deal. We're going to lose a contract based off of one case that is, in fact, not your fault, but we're going to try to leverage this on you anyways. When it's like, by the way, we're going to fire you if you don't shape up. It's like, well, what do I give a shit if you're going to lose the contract then? Management 101. You don't simultaneously say, we're going to lose the contract. Meanwhile, I'm threatening you with termination. Management 101. That is not how you coerce and or incentivize anyone to do anything. And like I say, this guy, he yelled at me, but I'm not going to say that it's his fault. But he did lie to me. He just flat out lied to me, and I threw it right back in his face because I knew it was a lie. Because the person themselves emailed me to say, oh, by the way, I was out of the office. This person specifically, they took up the role for me. They're the ones that scheduled it. It's like, there you go. That was your mistake. If you wanted to hang the anchor around my neck, what you should have relied on is that I didn't have this information. But because I do, now I know what's going on here. A senior manager who's looking to get promoted even more, he's incompetent, and rather than take fault for what he did, twofold, not fixing what he did originally and just passing it all on to me, you know, rather than owning his mistake and dealing with it, changing the schedule, doing what needs to be done, send the emails, make the phone calls. He didn't do fucking anything. He did absolutely nothing to correct the mistake. He just blamed it on me. And I'm sorry, but I'm not just going to sit there and eat shit and listen to you complain to me when I know for a fact that it's his fault. I'm not just going to get down on all fours, but look, I got kids, I got a house, I got a mortgage. You're not going to get that from me. Especially for this fucking job. It just isn't going to happen. The reason I'm doing this commentary is because I realize at this point that, you know, there's a clock ticking down when it comes to my role at this company. I already know that if anything like this happens again, and it could be like insignificant details, like a case doesn't get worked, or I make a mistake on my report, something infinitesimally small, error. Not I lie or do anything crazy, I just make a mistake. Even if it's that small, I know that that's going to be it. Because that's what my manager said to me. He goes, one more time and this is it, you're gone. Although what I love is that after I laid out what I had to say to him, he backed off and said, probably. You know, this is the thing we can't tolerate, and probably this will result in termination. So he backed off from his own threat and coercion originally. Because I just threw it right in his face that, you know, you can go ahead and blame me. It's not his fault. He's the company man. He has to do what he has to do. But I'm not apologizing. I'm not just eating shit for something that isn't my problem. Really, it isn't. You know, management, the case managers, and the companies, you know, the clients, that's between them and them, okay? It isn't anything to do with me. I work the fucking cases. I'm the investigator. I'm out in the fucking trenches. I'm out in the fucking ghetto for this job. That's what I'm doing. That's my responsibility. Your responsibility is all the other shit. That isn't mine, okay? Scheduling is not to do with me. That's internal shit. Nothing to do with me. If it's on my fucking schedule and I see it, I fucking work it. I have not done anything in my history with this company other than do the job. Never ever have I done anything that they could showcase to me as anything but infinitesimally small errors that they freak out about. It's never been anything that's been in any kind of affidavit. It's not been any reports that have been entered into a case or into any kind of litigation. Nothing like that. Nothing that's serious at all. Infinitesimally small mistakes around protocol. All the while, they break protocol willy fucking nilly and act as though that I don't know they're doing it. No, I'm sorry. It has absolutely reached the point where you're not threatening me. You're not holding this over my head for what it is. Do I hate the job? Absolutely no. The job itself, I don't hate. I'm willing to do the job, despite the health issues that come with it. But the fact is that I'm not going to deal with your internal drama. I'm not dealing with your corporate bullshit. Some fucking dickhead incompetent manager wants to blame me. He can feel free. He didn't even have the balls to call me, email me. I have not heard one word from this motherfucker. It's just been him passing it down to other people. Passing it down the chain. So other people that are slightly above me on the food chain yell at me. You know, as the company man they are, they have to yell at me over shit they know to be lies. They have to know that in the end, this was a senior manager's fault. But for the sake of, well, I gotta keep my job, I got kids and a mortgage, they gotta shit on me. And it's like, fine, I understand that responsibility. I don't blame that manager at all. And I said to him over and over again in the phone call, like, I understand that you're doing what you have to do. Like, you're not gonna get me angry with you. It's not your fault, but I'm absolutely not accepting blame for something I know and you can't prove to be my fault. I just laid it out there like that. And so that's why I say I'm not cut out for the corporate world. I'm really not. Because in the corporate world, I guess this is the time when I'm supposed to eat shit for a $30,000 a year job. For one that I work so much, I get 40 grand a year. You know? Apparently, I'm just supposed to eat shit and accept a lie. I'm supposed to accept defamation against my character, my ability, when it is demonstrably not true. I'm just supposed to take that to the face. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to. Not at this point in time. Where I know that if you just terminate me, you're going to have one hell of a time finding someone to replace me. And I know that. I know that. I know your turnover rates. I know your inability to hire people. I know about it. You can't leverage that against me when I know that to be the case. The only thing that I have that I'm concerned about, this is the only thing they could hold over my head where they would actually have leverage, is the amount of vacation time that I've built up. I have built up almost 2 weeks, even in July, 2 weeks of vacation time that I have. And I want to keep that vacation time. 2 weeks worth of pay, I want to keep that. And that's the only thing they have right now to hold over my head. And so I'm not going to tell you what my plan is. Just on the off chance these fucking assholes manage to stumble upon my social media accounts and you try to use this against me. But I have a plan.
What are we doing next, Dutch?
We just need money. One more decent take, and we're gone.
For what I'm going to do. And it's not going to be anything crazy, anything like that. It's just going to be me getting what I want and then being done. Because in this phone call, he asked for my resignation. And that's how I know that the clock is ticking. The clock is absolutely ticking. When you're outright calling for someone's resignation, that's the time. You know it's coming. You know that you're either going to get fired or that they're just going to start screwing with you. And they have done that in the past. They started screwing with my schedule. They started screwing with me. And I believe it was because at the time they tried to get me to resign. But because somebody else quit, they panicked and stopped doing it. But I believe this time around they're serious. And because I crossed paths with a senior manager, that's when it's like, okay, you're gone. And they want me gone. Because I don't think my manager would have asked me for my resignation if he didn't mean it. But the thing is, I'm not going to quit when I got 2 weeks worth of frickin' pay due to me. I earned that goddamn vacation time. It is not easy to earn that frickin' vacation time. So I want it. And I plan on getting that vacation time later in the year. But after that, that's the question. And so that's when I, plan to enact my plan, for lack of a better way of putting it. But it's bad news, really. And I'm not really doing this for sympathy. It is for venting, though. I believe I started with that. This is for venting. But I just want to put that out there that I hate the corporate world. I hate the frickin' scheming and the politics of companies. I hate all of this. And unfortunately, one of my faults as a person is being too honest. I'm too honest of a person. I'm too honest in not listening to other people's lies and just accepting them at face value. I'm not going to allow you to lie about me. I'm not going to take fault for somebody else's mistake. I'm not just going to eat shit and do everything that you want me to do and, contribute to a disorder that I already have, an issue, a medical issue I already have because of your shit. I'm not just going to eat shit like you want me to and cover for somebody else, especially when they've done nothing for me in this company. And that's one of the rules I have for you at the tail end of this commentary. Never do someone else favors in a company. Never do that. Whenever you work for a company, no one is your friend. Absolutely no one. Everyone is ready to betray you at any given moment in time. Do not do anyone favors. If you want to be Mr. Careerist corporate, climber, then maybe that's what you're going to have to do, and I'm giving you bad advice to that end. But if you're like me and you don't like the corporate world and you don't really care, you just don't want to hear this shit and you don't want to deal with other people's drama and you're not going to accept shit, then don't do people favors. Get the absolute most out of that job. Squeeze the most money in the most vacation time that you can get out of that job and have that be it. Because that is what I've done. Not to that effect. I wish I could be that competent, but I'm not. But the fact is that when I was asked to do the job, I've always showed up, I've always done the job, and they feel as though that isn't good enough. It's not good enough to do the job. You have to go above and beyond and cover for other people's mistakes, and I'm not willing to do it because it will never be reciprocated. That favor will never be returned ever. Ever, ever, ever. You have a greater chance of getting a knife in the back than ever having another person you work with returning the favor. It will never occur. So don't do it. Don't bother. Worry about your own pay, worry about your own position and what you want, and fuck everyone else at your job. Everyone else that works at that company. They are not your friends. They are not to be trusted. Do not worry about them. Worry about yourself. Because at the end of the day, that's the only one that's going to have your back. The only person. The only way it's going to be different is if you are in management. Or if you run your own goddamn company. That's the only way somebody else is going to have your back. Is if they're kissing your fucking ass for a promotion. That or you're running the company yourself. That's the only fucking way. Because if you're anybody towards the low end of the totem pole, you are going to get fucked and fucked and fucked, and no one cares about you. No one has your back. And all I know is that at this point, I'm used to it. This isn't me saying to you I feel so betrayed or anything else. I'm just used to this. This has been every freaking job I've ever had. And it's like, you're not going to get me to scream at you. You're not going to get me yelling. You're not going to get me crying or being super upset or begging you for my job or any shit. I just know the game. I know what is going on. And I'm just going to throw it right in your face. I'm not going to yell at you. You're the guy making a quarter more an hour than I am. You think I'm going to blame you and yell at you? No. But I know you're the company man. I know you're lying to cover up for someone else's mistake. Someone that I can prove. Someone who I have the name of because of this other person. 2 people gave me the evidence to say it was this person's fault. And he never followed up. He never did a goddamn thing to correct his mistake. It's just I'm getting blamed for it. And I'm not going to eat shit and take it. I'm just going to throw it out there and say, no, it's this guy's fault, and I don't care. You want to blame me? You want to write me up? Want to threaten me and ask for my resignation? It's like, okay, fine, do it. I don't care. Like, I can't find another 30,000. Like, I'll go work at fucking Wendy's. I'll go work at Mighty Taco and make 30 grand a year. Give me a break. You act as though you're paying me 50, 60 grand a year or something like that, where I should actually be concerned about the amount of money I'm making. I could go make the same amount of money at a fast food joint. Spare me. Spare me the attempts at freaking coercion. It's pathetic. It doesn't work on me. You know, let me break out my resume and get another freaking job that pays the exact amount or somewhere near there. I could do it tomorrow. It would just be another shitty job. This just goes to show you the incompetence on the managerial level, whether it's at the bottom or just going upwards, because it's like you don't know how to coerce, you don't know how to persuade, you don't know how to incentivize any person. I've had 3 fucking managers in 3 years. No, 4. It may even be more. I've had at least 3 managers in the last 3 years. Okay? Why do you think there's that amount of turnover? Why do you think? This is the reason why I'm not getting upset with him. I'm not yelling at him. I'm not screaming at him. Oh, damning him. It's a shit job, but you gotta be Mr. Company Man. But at the same time, you're flacking for the fucking company. You're flacking for a senior manager. That, you know, we both know this is the guy at fault. But he's too high up. He's been with the company for too many decades. So nothing's going to happen to him. So, do you expect me to eat shit? No! I'll go flip burgers and make the same amount of fucking money. And sleep better because I'll actually have a schedule that's not ridiculous. And every person I've talked to about my schedule, about what I have to go through with my job in terms of the scheduling being constantly changed and all over the place, all times of the day and night being ridiculous, I have not had one fucking person ever say to me that they have ever dealt with what I've had to go through. Every person I've ever talked to about what I go through in terms of my scheduling has said it's the worst they have ever heard. Every person I've talked to, maybe some of you have even crazier scheduling than I do. I'm not saying I have the worst of the worst, but every person that I know who's employed, that I've spoken to about my job, says they are shocked by the unprofessional nature of the scheduling at my company and what goes with my job. The changes that are made so sudden and to the point where a guy fucks up, they don't fix the mistake, and then I take the blame. I'm expected to work and know about a case that's 2 hours after the first, and it's 11 at night, and it's just like, well, you gotta wake up the next day at fucking 4 or 5 in the morning and go work this other case because somebody fucked up and no one notified you. It's like, no. How about no? How about I'm not gonna do it? How about I'm not gonna cover for somebody else's mistake? How about they should have followed the fucking protocol and notified me? How about that? Because the fact is, on their end, if that happens, what I did, if that happens, you put it on for the day after, the next day, whatever. You put it on the schedule. You don't leave it off. That is the mistake. If it needs to be worked, label it as such, notify the investigator, and put it on the fucking schedule. That's all that needs to be done. But the fact is, when you don't know what the fuck you're doing, that doesn't happen. You just blame the people below you. So I'm just going to end this commentary. You can feel that I'm upset with this. But it's because, this is it. I know this is it. I know the clock is now ticking down. And I didn't want to be in this position. Especially, if I'm going to be in this position, I would just like it to just be 100% my fault. I lie, I fuck up, I do something terrible. Can't I just be in this position through my own end, through my own fault? Can't I just have that? But no, it has to be somebody else fucking up, doing multiple things wrong, and just blaming it all on the lowest man on the totem pole. Blaming it on the person you know that you are completely sheltered against. You are completely, this person is completely protected against me. There are several levels of management before me and this fucking guy. So he is completely protected. And everyone's flacking for the guy, so what do I have? What can I do? What the fuck can I do, ladies and gentlemen? And the answer is nothing, and I know that. So it's just a matter of, well, for right now, you're not getting my resignation because you owe me vacation time. But if you're going to fire me, fucking do it. Whatever. I get unemployment and I'll look for another fucking job. If that's the case, if what I did was so terrible, fire me. Fire me, I'll take the unemployment check, and then I'll find another job. It'll be the first time in my life that I've ever been fired. The first time. And the first time I've ever collected unemployment. But I'll do it. I'll do it, and I'll find another fucking job, and that'll be the end of it. But you're not getting me to resign when you owe me. You owe me. We're not even. You owe me. And that's what I care about. I care about getting what I'm owed, and that's it. Anything more than that is something additional. And if you want more than that, you need to pay me more. And at this point, like I said earlier, I know it's not happening. So it's just a matter of, well, when I'm paid what I'm owed, when I'm given what I'm owed, then fine. We can be done. But that's going to take a few months to actually see it through. And hopefully things will work out in my end. Because I do have a mortgage to pay. But I'll leave it there. Thanks for listening.